The First Step by Leo Tolstoy. Chapter 5. If proof is needed that the people of our time truly no longer regard pagan self-restraint or Christian self-denial as good and desirable, but instead see the multiplying of needs as something fine and elevated, look at how the vast majority of children in our world are brought up. They are not trained to restraint as pagan children were, or to self-denial as Christian children should be. Instead, they are deliberately given the habits of softness, physical idleness, and luxury. For a long time I have wanted to write a fable like this. A woman, wronged by another, wants revenge and steals her enemy's child. She goes to a sorcerer and asks him to teach her the cruelest revenge she can take on that one stolen child. The sorcerer tells her to carry the child to a place he points out and promises that the revenge will be terrible. The wicked woman does as he says, then keeps watch on the child, and to her astonishment sees him taken in and adopted by a rich, childless man. She goes to the sorcerer and reproaches him, but he tells her to wait. The child grows up in luxury, pampered and soft. The wicked woman is bewildered, but the sorcerer tells her to wait, and at last the time comes when she is satisfied and even pities her victim. The boy grows up soft and unrestrained, and because he has a good heart, he is ruined. Then begins a chain of physical suffering, poverty, and humiliation, which he feels more keenly than others and has never learned to fight. He strives toward a moral life and finds only the helplessness of a body trained to luxury and idleness. Vain struggle, then a fall lower and lower, drink to forget himself, and then crime, or madness, or suicide. Truly, one cannot watch without horror how some children of our world are raised. Only the bitterest enemy could plant in a child so carefully the weaknesses and vices that its own parents, mothers especially, plant in it. It is frightening to watch, and more frightening still to see the consequences, if you know how to see what happens in the souls of the best of these children, so carefully ruined by their own parents. The habits of softness are planted while the young creature is still too young to understand what they mean for its life. Not only is the habit of restraint and self-command never formed, the very capacity for it is left to wither, the exact opposite of everything upbringing meant in Sparta and the ancient world. The man of our world is not trained to work. He is not trained to any of the conditions of fruitful work. Focused attention, effort, persistence, absorption in the task, the skill to mend what he has spoiled, the familiarity of tiredness, the joy of a thing finished. He is trained to idleness and to contempt for everything work produces. He is trained to spoil things, throw them away, and buy new ones for money, without ever once asking how things are made. He is robbed of the ability to gain the first virtue in the order, prudence, the one all the others require, and he is released into a world that preaches and seems to prize the high virtues of justice, service to people, and love. It goes well enough if the young man is a morally weak nature, without fine feeling, one who senses no difference between a good life for show and the real thing, and can settle for the evil that reigns around him. Then everything seems to arrange itself, and with his moral sense never awakened, such a man can sometimes live in peace to his grave. But it does not always go that way, especially now when the sense that such a life is immoral hangs in the air and steals uninvited into the heart. More and more often, the demands of real morality, the kind that is not for show, wake up in him, and then an agonizing inner struggle begins, and suffering, and the moral sense rarely wins. A man feels that his life is bad, that he must change it all from the very beginning, and he tries. But then the people who went through the same struggle and lost come at him from every side, and use every means to persuade him that none of it is necessary, that restraint and self-denial are not needed for being good, that you can give yourself to overeating, to finery, to physical idleness, even to fornication, and still be a thoroughly good and useful person. And for the most part the struggle ends badly. Either the man, worn down by his own weakness, gives in to the general voice, smothers the voice of his conscience, bends his reason to excuse himself, and goes on living the same dissolute life, telling himself he is redeeming it by his belief in outward Christianity or by his service to science or art. Or he struggles, suffers, and loses his mind, or shoots himself. Only rarely, among all the temptations that surround him, does a man of our world grasp what was an alphabet truth for every thinking person thousands of years ago, that to reach a good life, he must first stop living a bad one, that to reach any higher virtue, he must first gain the virtue of restraint and self-command, as the pagans defined it, or of self-denial, as Christianity defines it, and only then begin, by patient effort over himself, to win it.